Yahoo! Good evening. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the November 2nd, November 9th.
9th, yeah. All done.
Look at that, we got that wrong. Sorry, what a start. The November 9th Plympton Board of Selectmen meeting. Sometimes we start with ground rules, but we've all heard them. We don't have any guests tonight. I will mention that this meeting is being recorded for cablecast and YouTube presentation by Area 58 Community Access Media, and we are thankful to them and their staff. And we have a reporter here tonight from the Plympton Halifax Express, and we appreciate his presence. The video for this meeting is not to be considered an official document. So we will, as has been our tradition lately, to take a few moments for silence just to collect our thoughts. I thought maybe I would just mention, because it doesn't, because I feel like mentioning it tonight even though nobody's here, is like what a pleasure it is to work with the person on my right and the person on my left. We've had the opportunity in this work and in some other departments to sort of show that cooperation, collaboration, communication seems to get things done. And it's been a real pleasure, and so I thought I'd get that out of the way.
Now, right back at you.
Yeah, and now tonight all hell will break loose, and at least it got said before then. So a few moments of silence to collect our thoughts and maybe simply appreciate the chance we have.
You have to remember that. It's like the rules of being
All right, so again, welcome everyone. We have published the agenda. Any additional items anyone would like to consider? I think we have more than enough to work on here. So we will dive in. Dig safe approvals. We have two of them.
We have two.
Should be right at the top of the pile
They
there.
certainly are. All right, we've got a request for 53 Mayflower Road for a 4x6x25 road cut, so that sounds like all the way across the street. And then at 277 Main Street, gas to come via Mayflower, and that is for a 4x6x10 road cut, so half. And those are the documents and the maps.
So I have had a chance to take a look at these, and I am glad to make a motion that we approve both of these.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I don't think there's anything to sign other than Bree to let them know that we approve them. All right?
Thank you.
All right, one down.
It goes with those.
Yeah.
So we have a disparate group of agenda items tonight. Some of these are just following up on previous things and not losing anything along the way. So the next thing is Town Council recommendations on correcting approved minutes. I had contacted her a couple of weeks ago. This relates to the minutes of September 28th, which after they had been approved, we found a couple of things that were in error. So I think last week or 2 weeks ago, we approved some corrections, and we put those corrections in the minutes of that night. Alana, Town Council, finally got back and said that she felt like, and I think I shared this with all of you, that we should then go ahead and submit the corrected minutes to the town clerk and have her remove the old minutes. So, Bree, would you be able to take care of that? And I guess maybe I'll make a motion. I make a motion that Bree submit the corrected minutes and ask town clerk to remove the old minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
So are we gonna have Bree edit the 28 minutes and put in the correct language
Yeah.
rather than just
I-
the,
and
yes,
I-
okay,
And in
Perfect.
fact, I sent her the corrected paragraph
Perfect.
to cut and paste in, right? You
Yes,
have that?
I have it all done,
Great.
because I
perfect.
thought that's what we were doing instead
Yep.
of adding it on to the bottom of the other minute, so,
Okay.
all set.
Sure.
Sorry, an odd question for me. Will it be noted in the corrected minutes that these have been be annotated?
No, I think it'll be noted in tonight's minutes
Yeah, I think that's
that,
correct.
that they were modified, and we discussed it last week as well. So, okay, there'll be a couple of times that it will be referenced. And it was a name.
But I mean,
That was the change. We missed
but I mean, when
a
you
name.
do submit the corrected meetings, it will be as if those were the,
That is correct. But those were the
I see.
original,
Okay.
yes.
sorry.
No worries.
Okay,
Good question.
all right. Use of town car policy. So we received, and I think was shared, an email from Dale. Dale had been contacted by the assistant assessor about trying to set up a little more regular use of the town car between Council on Aging, the fire department, and the assessors. Do you want to comment on this, Dale?
Well, yeah, a couple of things. I spoke to both parties, and the Council on Aging and the assessors, and they've worked out whatever their schedule is with the vehicle, no problem. And the assessors would like it available during a certain number of hours, 3 days a week, because that's when they go out and do their things, and sometimes they have to go out on short notice. As far as the fire department, I haven't talked to the chief. I don't know that, I mean, they have several vehicles, so I'm not sure that they're really, they really, although they're the ones charged with maintaining it. This is a memo that went out on January 17th, 2012, and it just, going forward, all departments will use the town car for town business as opposed to their own vehicle. The exception will be when the town car is not available. For FY13, any appropriations in your departmental budget for mileage and/or gasoline will be deleted. Fire Chief Basari has agreed to maintain the town car and keep it fueled. And then it's some instructions on when you use the car and everything else. So, I mean, from the board standpoint, I guess you should probably prioritize, who gets to use it when, and that the Council on Aging and the assessors obviously have the first use of it, and then if the fire department needs it, they don't really use it for too much at this point. If they need it, they can work around the schedule.
So in the interest of the communication, collaboration, and cooperation I talked about at the beginning, could you check with the fire department, let them know the schedule that the other two have, and just make sure that's okay with them, both that it's okay with them, and then that they've been forewarned that at those times the vehicle wouldn't be available?
Right. And I don't know that, I know that they're responsible under the fire department's budget for putting fuel in it, and they may say, well, if we don't have access to it, we may do it. But then Chief Dillon has said, put it over here, I'll do it. It's not it's just not a really big deal.
Okay.
It doesn't see an awful lot of use.
I mean, this sounds like if we coordinate and communicate, we should be fine.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
So you don't want to do a policy?
Oh, I thought we sort of had it.
Well, the policy on using it, I think what you need to do is just is bless a schedule for between the assessors and the Council on Aging, and let them work it out between them as far as what, because they've actually worked it out. That I think that they said the assessors need it 3 days a week, availability of it 3 days a week during the day, and Council on Aging has said there's no problem. We can use it. We can work our schedule on the days when when you're not using it. So far it seems to be okay. I would just sort of bless that schedule.
Yeah,
Go
they-
there with it.
This is a pretty detailed schedule that came with Dale's.
Okay.
They have it down to, let's see, assessors Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 9 to 2, Council on Aging Wednesdays and Fridays after 2 on Monday.
Well, why don't we just put this in a format that we're gonna do for the rest of the policies, and then we can maybe vote it next week? And then post it like with all the other policies. Do you think we need to do that?
Well, I don't think you really want to immortalize it like in a
So it's not gonna be in the policy book?
Because it could change, something could change.
Okay, okay, well
One way or
then,
the
yeah, I
other.
mean, if this isn't gonna be like
Yeah.
a,
I
policy.
would say probably the thing to do is just bless that and prioritize the fact that it works. The Council on Aging and the assessors, have first go with the town car when they need it and let them work it out themselves.
What sort of official business would the fire department use it for?
Occasionally they have training and you know, and they have to go pick up parts and everything, but they have 3 vehicles. I mean, they
Yeah.
have 3
And they could
town-owned
actually
vehicles.
go to Board of Assessors and say, we need to do this today, can we have it
Right,
between
exactly.
11 and 1 or something?
Right, because they generally, when they have training or if they have to go, they'll know in advance, and for the small stuff that they have to, I mean, you know, there's 3 vehicles over there. There's the
Mhm.
chief's cars, the deputy's car, and the pickup truck.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, and actually appreciative that Council on Aging and Assessor, Board of Assessors were able to work together and come up with a schedule.
No problem.
As long as fire department's happy, I think we're happy.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, moving right along. So, Saker Public Records request. Yep. So we received an email from a resident. This relates to Cranberry Knoll issues, and she was writing with concerns that she had requested a review and that there had been some delays and that she didn't think she had had the chance to have the public records review. I checked today with town council. She let me know that in fact the records had been available. The person making the request had been informed of that, didn't come in. The town clerk, had collected the records from several different places, and after the requester didn't come in, she gave them back. So I asked her in any event today to send a letter back to the person requesting this stuff, reminding her that she had had an opportunity, offering her another opportunity, and I very much wanted that in the form of a letter, and I very much wanted her to be documenting that the opportunity had been there, and that the opportunity was there again to avoid anything that might come up in the future. And the town clerk did make copies for us of a letter
Thank you.
which did make clear that the requester simply had to make an appointment to come in and review the records. So we're doing the best we can with it. These public record requests are very challenging on understanding what the proper thing to do is, and I think the key on these is to make sure that we are documenting that we're offering the opportunity. So I think we're doing that, doing the best we can. Any comments on that?
No?
Sorry, I have another quick question.
Please,
Does Sacker refer to the resident or something else?
say again.
Sacker, S-A-K-R there?
She's the resident
That's
that
the resident.
requested.
Okay,
Yeah.
didn't know if it was
Um,
an acronym or something.
You know, she has actually several record requests that are before various committees.
She's also gotten several letters, 2 of which were certified and never heard back from her.
Um,
We're trying.
Well, we're trying to do our best. We do keep in touch as needed with town council to make sure we're doing the right thing. There appears to me to be huge gray areas in all of this, and I believe we're bending over backwards to get it right. Okay. So, we are up to discussing and possibly voting on the town personnel policy. The document we're working on this week is the recruitment and hiring document. And actually, before that, I'll just mention we did approve the additions and amendment policy last week. Dale has spread that out to boards and committees, and we were within the 10-day period of receiving comments. Have you heard anything yet?
I haven't. No.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
So theoretically, next week, depending, we'd be able to vote on that if we haven't heard anything. And actually, I should put that on the agenda for
agenda,
next
right.
week. Additions and amendments. Okay.
Well, doesn't it just go into effect?
It's an automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way the wording is, it would go into effect automatic. It's in effect, actually, but it's open for the 10-day comment period. And
Okay, well, we'll note that next
And
week.
then-
We'll ask you if you've heard anything, and
Yeah,
if not,
Well, that'll be part of my report,
All right.
if I have heard anything. So far, no, nothing.
all right. So, we each have stuff written here. Hopefully it's similar stuff. Where shall we begin?
Doesn't matter. If you wanna start, then, we can chime in.
Or
Okay.
just, you can go paragraph by paragraph.
Okay,
Sure.
first paragraph.
Yeah, good idea.
My thought on the first paragraph, it says that departments seeking to fill a position will post the vacancy after consultation with the town coordinator. I wondered if we shouldn't add and the Board of Selectmen. I mean, it seems like probably department heads might want to consult with us too before they go merrily ahead, or just let us be aware.
Is that talking about, obviously it's talking about positions that have been vacated.
Yes.
Is it also speaking of new positions? Because
Notice
that's a
of
difference.
vacancy.
It
There's a
speaks
section
about
on-
that,
there's a
okay,
section
at the
on
bottom.
decrement.
I just wanted to make sure that
Okay.
there wasn't any confusion.
Okay,
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got that.
So
So
add Board of
who's
Selectmen?
gonna be the keeper of the final form here? Mine's too messy.
I can pencil.
All right,
it if you want
Dale
here,
is the
'cause I'll make
keeper.
the corrections
Okay.
and stuff in the
Perfect.
computer.
All
But
right.
did you say that this one was okay as it is for existing positions? Did you want to state for existing positions or?
Shall post a
Vacancy
notice of
indicates a-
vacancy
vacancy
for
indicates a-
existing
Yeah,
positions.
that's clear enough.
Yeah.
I
Alright.
just,
Okay, so we're gonna add consultation with town coordinator and Board of Selectmen,
mhm.
okay? All right, next paragraph?
Okay. Do we have an employment application form?
We all have that as
We-
a comment.
So,
That was the next thing. There are a couple of things that don't really require that 10-day posting affair, and that is one of them. I mean, I have a copy of, several municipal applications. We should probably adopt one of those and.
Okay, so could you get those to us and we'll adopt one next week?
Mhm.
and then along with that, we haven't really discussed thoroughly who we're going to require the query of.
Hmm.
And,
That would be probably just in a general statement in here or somewhere, that if it's, the relevant job descriptions require different things, query checks and so on and so forth. Or you could just subject, some towns do, and it's easy, it's across the board, everybody gets queried, it just,
Yeah.
every hire gets queried, and that can be beneficial. Generally, you don't find anything, but that can be beneficial for some other things.
Once we attack the query document, couldn't we take the same sentence and add it here, that individuals who are around, whatever the words are, children, elderly, may be required to
Yes.
query? So that might be something we'd have to add to this once we have that policy in the query.
Yeah, let me just see if there's
You could probably
any
leave it
language.
more general and sort of
Let's
sensitive from the
see.
positions.
Hopefully,
I've got the state's query policy here. Acknowledgement. Actually, I have one for everybody. And this is the model query policy from the
it's in,
from the
I
state.
think it's in the letter, the email from our query-
Michelle?
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll have to dig that out, actually.
All right, she said you really don't do it on elected officials. Let's see, but where an elected official has the potential for direct and unmonitored access with children, elderly, or disabled populations, there's a good argument that we are required to do query checks for these elected officials, even though they are elected. Let's see.
so I guess overall my point there is that when we have the application, perhaps there should be a check off that if position requires, you're agreeing to a query check.
Yeah. I would probably do
Here's
that.
the sentence that we got from Michelle Rendazzo is you are legally required to run Cory checks on all employees and volunteers, which includes appointed board members prior to service who have the potential for direct and unmonitored access to children, the elderly, and the disabled.
Yes,
Um,
so add that sentence in.
Yeah, you could add that into the recruitment and hiring, that you would be subject to a Cory check if you're applying for a position that,
Mhm. Direct and unmonitored access.
So I can send that sentence to you, all right?
All
Or
right.
do you
and-
have it?
And the other, I don't have it right here. The other thing is that the state has a Cory acknowledgement form, and you cannot do a Cory unless the party to be Cory'd has signed the form. It's, and I think you just ought to adopt that straight up. It's pretty cut and dry. But and so for employment, volunteer, and licensing purposes only. And it goes on, by signing below, I provide my consent to a Cory check and acknowledge that the information provided on page 2 of this acknowledgement form is true and accurate. And, you know, name, address, and sort of that kind of stuff.
Isn't that the form that Bree,
We may have the same thing.
yeah, she does, she's got that form.
Yeah.
Because that was part of my report, but
I just took that.
that was the schools, right? That one's the
And I
school.
just took that.
Yeah,
This is more
okay.
information.
Yeah, we can use, that's the same information. Theirs is laid out better than the one from the
Okay,
state,
so-
which is not surprising.
Okay.
So here's the
Don't
thing,
quote me
if
on
we put those words in, it's gonna obligate us to, next week or two, to deal with the Cory document.
Well, let's do Cory next week then, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I mean, we are signed up. I mean, I
Okay.
filled out my information today,
All
He's
right.
already done it, so we're all ready to go that way.
I'll get that sentence to you.
Yeah.
That should be added to the document we're working on today. We're gonna put Cory as the document we'll work with next week. Whether we get it all done, I'm not sure, but we will get
We'll
started.
get started.
All right, so back to recruitment and hiring. I think, are we up to the third paragraph?
yeah,
Yes.
I have nothing,
Okay, fourth paragraph.
nothing.
All right.
My question was just, I wanted to make sure we don't have anybody that's already in violation of this. I mean, we don't have anybody with conflict of interest, right? Appointment shall be made in compliance with all state laws and regulations concerning conflict of interest. No person shall be appointed to a position in a department in which a member of his or her own immediate family is employed. And we don't have any of this, do we?
No, well, and, I mean, this is proactive forward, I think.
That would reference nepotism. there's no nepotism here or
Okay.
anything like that. I mean,
Okay.
as far as conflict of interest, that's on an individual, personal basis. You can't be in a decision-making position and make a financial difference to you or an immediate family member. That's generally what the conflict
Okay.
of interest law is. And that includes being on the board and, being on a board that votes to issue permits for one thing or another, whatever it happens to be, and being a person involved in the business of issuing those permits.
Okay. Okay, that was my only question.
Anecdotally, I saw the largest fine up to date go down in my hometown on that, and it was a Board of Health issue, and the same Board of Health and putting in septic systems, and they were pretty good. They said stop, and 3 times, and they never stopped. So bang, here's a $14,000 fine.
Wow.
All right, next paragraph, I see you have a note, I have a note. My concern about this one is, I assume, I haven't checked, that the police and fire departments may have their own statements
That
here.
is
And
exactly
I'm
what
not
I
sure
said.
this belongs in here
Yeah,
at
I know, that was
all.
my concern as well.
So I would suggest deleting it, we can add later if it isn't there.
I'm sure they have their
All
own
right, so
language.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Police
6.
and fire. Getting rid of it.
The paragraph that begins, offer of employments to prospective uniform members. That whole paragraph is gonna be deleted.
Yeah, I mean, they have their own standard
Right.
that they hire.
I don't think we should get in the middle of that, or we could refine this later.
Well, and we really don't do anything with that. The chief brings them in after he does all the work and
Right.
recommends that we make appointments.
Yes.
Yeah, so, okay.
Okay,
So you wanna just delete which?
delete the whole paragraph that begins offers of
Prospective
employment.
Yes.
uniforms members?
Mhm.
Okay. I believe it does, but another thing I'm gonna, maybe after we go through this, I just wanted to bring up, there are parts of this thing that are not subject to the tent, it's like the introduction. So what I'd like to do is send some introduction language, and in the introduction language, it says that this policy shall in no way conflict with any collective bargaining agreements, and those, if it comes into conflict with a collective bargaining agreement, then the collective bargaining agreement speaks to it rather than the personnel policy.
Okay. Okay. So the next paragraph, well, I'll throw in my 2 cents. I would skip it, but this is the paragraph that talks about pre-employment drug testing, and then the document is a whole separate document to deal with that.
Yeah.
We could change it from shall be conditional to may be conditional.
Offers of employment to prospective employees whose positions require a commercial driver's license shall be conditional upon the candidate passing the pre-employment drug test.
Okay.
Up to
I
you.
mean, we're not gonna do the appendix.
And my concern is that, one, if we start on the appendix, then it's a whole big bag of
Yeah.
worms. This feels to me like something that could be left out for now, possibly to add later, just so we don't get hung up. I am concerned about, I'm concerned about the expense of doing it, I'm concerned about the confidentiality, I'm concerned about choosing some people and not others.
Well, I think it would have to be everybody, so you
Yeah.
couldn't have it say may.
Yeah.
But really, this would require like Jim's input, or people that hire people with CDLs.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that would be
No.
fire as well.
Which assume it would be covered under their hiring
Right.
policy.
Right.
So it's really just Jim.
It's really just Jim.
For the fire department, I'm not sure they have a written policy, so I'm not sure that this wouldn't apply. This policy manual wouldn't apply to them as well. They don't have a collective bargaining agreement, number one, and number two, they don't have I don't know that they have any particular hiring policy written down. I don't believe they do.
Then perhaps we should request one of fire and police.
I bet police has it,
Yeah, police have, they have their whole manual
of all the policies,
Everything.
yeah.
of,
Mhm.
I'm not sure we could, we can inquire of the fire chief and ask whether he feels he wants to create his own, if he doesn't have one, or if he wants to go with the one that the town's creating.
Mhm.
It's, public safety falls under such a different category. I mean, it can't, you throw out holidays, they don't really have holidays,
Right.
you're on call 24/7, so that doesn't really apply to them, it's just
Mhm.
an example.
I'm okay with taking that out. We can always add it back in later.
I'm okay with that too.
Correct.
I
In
think-
the interest of ending up with a document we're good with, and this certainly will be a living document that at least once a year, hopefully, we're looking at again.
Mhm.
All right, so we are up to the next to last paragraph,
It's
which
fine.
we are all okay on.
Mhm.
Last paragraph, I had a few things. Number one, I think it probably should, rather than each of the places that it says board, it should say the Board of Selectmen. And then my two other concerns were, I'm wondering if we shouldn't include in this that advice be sought from the Finance Committee and Wage and Personnel as part of this process.
I added, new position may only be created with the Board of Selectmen in consultation with the requesting party, FinCom and Wage and Personnel.
Perfect.
Ooh, that's nice.
Perfect.
That is good.
Make sure Dale gets
I'm trying
that
to write it
down.
down, what was it?
Get that.
created by the Board of Selectmen
Mhm.
in consultation with the requesting party, or, that's a little rough, FinCom and Wage and Personnel.
And board, we got the board in there.
Yes, you did.
Board of
Yeah.
Selectmen, yeah.
Great.
That was perfect.
Great, great, that solves that one. Wow. We'll give Dale a moment, we may have a document.
All right, so, yeah, we have a document. And essentially, let me go back over just to make sure I got it, we can vote on this and I can post it. Department head seeking to fill a position shall post a notice after consultation with the Board of Selectmen and Town Coordinator, we're adding that. I'll leave in the language for official employment application, and we can add one of those
We'll
later.
just
And
know we
then,
have to do that next
information
week.
provided, the form will include a statement signed by the applicant certifying the truthfulness, accuracy of the information that's provided on the form, and the Corey if required, some in the Corey, acknowledgement if it's required.
Well, I'll give you the sentence on Corey, that those individuals may be asked for a Corey.
I would say they will.
Will.
By law, they're required.
All right, and I'll get that sentence to you, that's straight from
Yeah,
town council.
That's good, and all right, we'll add that in there, and let me just put your name in there so I know where it's coming from. And then you strike the offers of employment, and there's two paragraphs there.
Yep.
Driver's license, and then new positions, we write out Board of Selectmen, and then insert in consultation with the requesting party, comma, FinCom, and Wage and Personnel.
Yep. And then all the other boards, there are 3 other boards mentioned in that should be written out as Board of Selectmen.
Yeah. I'll get them on.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
You want to vote on that as amended?
From the writing.
Can I see that? That's same.
That's it.
No
All right,
change.
so I make a motion that our recruitment and hiring document as amended be approved tonight.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So maybe before you send that out to everyone, send the final copy to me. I'll just go over it once more and make sure we got
Yeah,
it. If we
okay.
have it, then you can send it out for
Yeah. Okay.
Dale. Send.
All right, and then what I was gonna add on is that there are, in the appendixes, first of all, there's policies, for sexual harassment policy, so on and so forth, and then there's standard conflict of interest stuff, the town clerk has all of that. You probably will want to include those as appendix in this one, and you can just sort of vote those straight up, they already exist,
Right.
so, you can do that. We don't have a setup for evaluation forms or for safety policy, although I have some examples of those, but that must down the road. Classification plan, we have classification plan, they vote on it every year. So whether you add it or not, I don't know, it may be something you wanna leave out. The other thing too is, just in terms of, have a cover for this thing, it's sort of a mock-up cover, the table of contents, and then there's an introduction. So what I'll do is I'll just send you some of these, because they have an introduction, kind of a purpose, kind of a mission statement, and you put at the beginning of these things, explains why the town's adopting a personnel policy. And that's not something that you have to send out for approval to, that's something the board decides themselves.
So at the risk of being piecemeal, I think what we're doing is doing this piecemeal in bite-sized pieces.
Well, that's a
So
good way to do it.
so you can add those others, and we'll plan ahead, and each week take on one, and
Plug away.
hopefully feel like we're not being overwhelmed, and then when it's all done, we'll probably just have to go back and make sure we have everything in the
Yeah, I don't
right
know if you
order.
want to, start a folder of what's done, and then we can have it, take
Yeah, I
take a
have
look
it.
back at it.
That's what that's what I have it so far. I have what's adopted and what's not
Great.
adopted. I can send all of that to you. And then if you wanna, like I said, I just made up a cover for this so that it would be the cover of the thing, and you can go from, you can actually start with that and you can update it as we go. Do you have a policy that you wanna zero in on for next week?
Yeah, we're going for
Corey.
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 Corey, okay.
Okay. Okay.
Fantastic.
Everybody okay on that? Onward we go. So several follow-ups. 3 Forest Road citizen concern. I spoke to Jim Mulcahy and kaboom, it's all cleaned up.
Nice.
Mowed
Was
this
it
week.
town land or is it not?
We didn't get into that
Okay.
discussion. It
He
just
just- he
made
just cleaned
sense
it up.
to get
Okay.
it done.
All
And
right.
So he brought the big machine in, mowed in front of, and lots of vegetation sort of growing right out of the stone wall, all cleaned up. I tried to reach Elsie a couple times and wasn't able to reach her, but I hope she's pleased, and one less problem, at least for this year.
Thank you, Jim.
Absolutely. Thank you, Highway Department. Regionalization discussions, there's an expression which sort of fits in my life a little, and I wish I weren't using it, but herding cats comes up as a possibility of trying to get people together. I'm trying to be cognizant of holidays coming, and then we'll never get together, but I'm having a little trouble getting everyone together for the first one, but it is on my mind, and we'll keep working at it. I want to skip this one, but town email addresses, use and functioning. You want to be first, since you found some stuff?
Well, Dale, did you spoke to Mike, and he's willing to have people bring in their laptops or whatever and go over some issues.
Ooh,
Um,
He can set up a time where he can come in and maybe a couple of times because, and explain to people how to use it and what to do and look at their laptops to see if there's any reason why, for some reason, they're not being able to connect that way. He's also willing to go to people's houses, but of course, that's gonna be an on-the-clock thing for him to do, so,
My question back to you and to Mike is what I emailed you. The tech guy told me that it's something that needs to be set up by the administrator in the setup part. Because I can attach documents in my other email. It's just in the town email. So I know how to attach documents.
mhm.
So there's something, according to the tech guy, it's not my laptop. It's that the administrator has to okay it for my laptop. Because we're outside of the system protects itself
Mhm.
against things that I may attach.
So that would be the provider that would actually,
I don't really know. That's
yeah.
my
it would
question back to
probably
you,
be
I
the- It would
guess.
probably be the provider because they control what's on the web. We control the server, but they control what's on the web and how things happen on the web. I will put that letter to them and ask them.
so how can we make that happen then? Just choosing a time and day when he'd come in, we can bring in our machines, those of us that have
Yeah.
movable machines? I would love to do that.
Yeah, he can do that. Coordination is a little bit difficult, but I can ask him for some available times, and I mean, he certainly can come in during the day and, sit down and spend some time with people on.
That
what it takes to
would
make
be
it work.
really good. Not Tuesdays, for Colleen's sake. Preferably early afternoon for one of our sakes.
I'm only available at night. But I could leave my laptop here.
If you left it with me, on a day that I brought, we could.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That'd be great.
All right, I'll schedule. I'll ask him for some times that he can be available, and
Good.
I'm not sure he can't come in at night, but I'll
No.
ask him.
Well, that's all right. I mean, I don't need to be here. Just
Um,
all I need is my laptop.
I think also we had asked you to send out an email to everyone to try and get a feeling of who's actually using it, who's having trouble. I mean, we're not the only ones. Everyone I speak to, not everyone, many people I speak to complain about the system. So it would be nice to reach out to them as well. Some of these problems are gonna be universal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if they can't access it, if I send them an email, that's really not gonna. I mean, they all got welcoming emails, when they were not. I mean, I'll pin down some individuals and just try it selectively and see what happens. But I'll use their old and new email addresses, so that way there, and then
Perfect.
you have an email at your town email address and what,
I mean, particularly since we are paying for people to use these, and if they can't use them, it's just pointless.
Yep.
and I did speak with the fire department on their emails, and the deputy, Dylan is checking, and he says you may be able to eliminate virtually all of them if in fact Comcast will allow them to set up, that many email addresses or other email addresses and so
Great.
on. So we should be able to knock
Great.
that
That'd be a
number
lot of
down,
money.
or at
That
least
would be.
transfer them to other.
Okay. Okay on that then?
Mhm.
We keep marching along with that. 59 parsonage update. So we did receive a letter from John Nedzilski, the executive director of the Massachusetts branch of USDA. I shared that with all of you. Bottom line is the Massachusetts representatives did go down to Washington. They were able to free up enough money from somewhere down there to board up the trailers on 59 parsonage and put up some temporary fencing around the burned out barn. Have they been in touch with you on that? Are you aware of that?
No,
Okay.
no.
So we got this letter last week. They said they got the money, so hopefully they'll follow through. They also said they paid their taxes, which is lovely. Thank you, USDA. And then the rest of it, the part that we've been concerned about, is the hope that they could secure funding for the Phase 2 environmental study. And the bottom line is they said, no way so far. Where that leaves us is more or less where we've been all along. They are now saying they're getting tired of the whole thing, and they've offered the chance for a negotiated sale with us. We have felt like we cannot go ahead unless we have a Phase 2, and they are now saying, they've asked to speak to me, and they're saying that if a negotiated sale isn't going to happen, that they're going to consider a public option, this time without a reserve, that is, without a floor. So that's where things stand. Sir?
I reposted the property about 2 weeks ago, and the back door was left open.
Back door
So
to the house?
The back door to the house is wide open, so any kids or anybody can just walk right into the lower half of that Dutch door. And I took pictures. I'm glad you brought it up, especially since he hasn't had the courtesy to get back to the Board of Health. But I will be in touch with Department of Public Health tomorrow. I have been talking with them. They had a conversation with him regarding boarding this thing up. And I've got to get back to the Attorney General's office. And so we've got some work on our side to force their hand a little bit. There was another issue, by the way. We went to an all-day seminar on Saturday for the Board of Health. And Attorney Sabara brought up the Blackstone incident that happened last August. Tragic. If you Google a Blackstone House of Horrors, you'll find it. And it was interesting to note that the mortgagor was USDA, Farm Service Administration, and the property was ordered to be raised, which the town did, and then USDA walked away from it and stuck the town very nicely with it, which they have the legal right to do. There were also some other comments in that seminar about USDA. I think if somebody took a look at that operation, they're liable to find this going on far more than just our town.
So we put this on the agenda, one, because I do need to get back to Mr. Nadilski. As you all remember Open Space wrote to us saying they were pretty much cooked and weren't able to deal with it anymore. Albeit this is an incredibly desirable property in a lot of ways, this whole thing continues to be a mess, and without a phase two, we are feeling like it would be real hard to be protected. What I wanted to suggest or request of this board is permission to spend just a minimal amount of time with town council. I think the question that hasn't been posed to town council is, or the question I would like to pose is there any way to craft a negotiated sale that would presumably go through CPC, which would be contingent on a phase two? That is, if the phase two were done and found all kinds of things wrong, that would negate the sale. I doubt very much USDA would even do it. It does seem like one potential way, since USDA is obviously willing to sell this at relatively small money to the town, which would leave plenty of money to do the fix-up that's necessary. I think it's a real long shot, but if we could be protected if a phase two came up with something, I wanted to just explore that briefly. There'd be a million steps to go. All right.
Thank you. Just a question. The tax bills were just paid a few days ago. I've heard from any number of people that it's just, especially seniors. There's a house in town that's for sale because they can't afford the taxes anymore. Several people have said, it's now costing me 3 months' Social Security to pay my real estate taxes in town. Why would we consider taking any property off of the tax rolls to put the burden on the rest of the taxpayers?
I think it's a totally reasonable question. I think it's a really big discussion. Right now, this property generates $10,000 a year in taxes. I think one of the concerns would be if this property were bought by developers, if 3 or 4 or 5 houses went in, albeit this point is debated, it is generally perceived by those that deal with time finance that believe that every new house that goes in the long run, the cost, particularly to educate the kids in those houses, is more than the tax return. So that is to say, it is the thought that that property being developed would not be revenue neutral. In fact, in the long run, would cost the town money. I think if one buys that, then the second piece, of course, is there is a limited amount of open space. This is not only open space, but it's river frontage, which there just isn't any more of. And I think one has to weigh that. This committee and I think this town government in general has worked fastidiously to keep well aware that taxes are high, well aware that people are challenged, to keep taxes as low as possible, which doesn't mean they aren't going up. We're stuck with that. But I think the reason to at least consider this property, continue to at least consider it as unlikely as it would be, is because the development might cost the town money, that once open space is lost, it's lost forever. And were this to happen, it would happen through CPC funds, where at least a third of that is matched by state funds. So, and then the last thing I'd say, only because I sort of with my community preservation cap, or chair of that cap. I think the Parks project is a really good example, particularly when boards, committees, and commissions in this town work together, not in collusion, but in cooperation, in collaboration, and with good communication. That's a proven example of what can be done with great cost effectiveness. Something that's incredibly well regarded in town, and something that'll preserve something in town forever. I know that's a long answer, and I totally hear you about the pain of our tax rates in town. I think if anything went forward with parsonage number 1, incredibly unlikely we'll be able to pull this together, but if we would, it would be extremely minimally effective. It would minimally, if at all, affect the tax rate.
Well, just in addition, all along, there's been talk about multi-use of that property, so open space, perhaps some form of housing, renting the fields, so it's not totally, sucking at the town teat, as it were. It's just, I think it's something worth pursuing.
I think overall it's extremely unlikely. Community Preservation Committee, Open Space Committee, Concom, others have been working on this for 3 years, and we've gotten exactly nowhere. And I think it's extremely likely that's where we'll get along the way. Obviously, if we even got somewhere, this would come before town meeting, and there would be plenty of time along the way for public input to weigh what are real concerns on both sides. So in the immediate, what I'd be looking for is just a brief conversation with town council to see if there's any chance of some kind of opportunity for a negotiated sale, because I do need to get back to this guy.
I wouldn't want to use town money to pay for this property. I have a long history with this property, and it just, I don't even know if I'd want to take it as a donation without the phase 2, because we just don't know what we're getting. And I just feel that we should have to pay for this property. I think we have paid for this property over and over with town council costs and everything else that went on there. And I just would rather not have to spend any money to get it. But I think that I agree, it is a beautiful piece of land that would be really nice for multiple uses, maybe some senior housing, some type of cluster senior housing where we're not tapping into the schools, where we're still raising some tax dollars on this property. So I would love for the town to have the property. I just don't think we should have to pay for it.
And are you including CPC money in the?
Well, CPC money is town money. It is money that's on our tax bills. But the CPC money that you're probably talking about using is money that's already existing. It's already there.
Yeah,
So
and matched by the state.
It's not money additional money that people will have to pay now. It's money that's already been taken out and reserved for purposes like this. But I would prefer not to pay for it at all with anything. I think that the USDA should donate it to the town. That's my position.
And I think right now the problem is, I'm not sure that they wouldn't even consider that just to be done with them. I mean, they have art going after them. Sorry, I shouldn't.
Just enforcing the law.
Absolutely.
Well, and it is.
No,
It's a public safety issue, especially if that house is open. We certainly don't want, things happening in there that could be problematic.
I think we've had discussion before, and there have been discussions with other boards and committees. I would vote against accepting this without a phase 2 study.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that. And look, I think this project's probably dead. Open space isn't interested anymore. I'm not sure where CPC stands. I mean, really what I'm asking for tonight is, maybe an hour with town council, just to have explored it. I mean, we're going no further than that. I do not in any way want the town to get into any kind of quagmire. And on the other hand, I'm not so sure if we end up with 5 houses over there that we've done the town any good.
Yeah, not if there's, if they're tapping into our services.
Yeah,
It's
so-
not such a great deal.
All right.
Yeah, that's something.
Sir,
I just wanted to reinforce what Mark had said earlier. It's well documented. Other than age restricted, all residential development is cash flow negative for the town, all of it. Any house, it doesn't, even if you build a house and put 2 children in school, it's cash flow negative. Even if it's $10,000 a year in taxes, you're still negative by a couple of $1,000s, and that's just based on what comes out of the budget every year that to fund our schools, not the overall cost with the Chapter 70 money. I'm just talking about what the taxpayers are. So that's always a consideration going forward. The other consideration, and maybe I'm just not aware of it as much, but 2 questions, I guess. Was there ever any study done that gave an indication that you needed a multi-$10,000, multi-tens of thousands of dollars phase 2 study? Because if there wasn't, the town is going to be very hard pressed if that falls into private hands to force a phase 2 study on someone without any evidence. Yeah,
no,
legally.
but if someone buys it and without a phase 2, if something comes up, it's their liability.
Oh, I understand that. I certainly understand that, but it's not going to come up without without some sort of testing. If there, you can do preliminary testing for several thousands of dollars. It's not that much, but I thought the numbers I was hearing were $30,000 or $40,000 for a phase 2,
substantial.
and that's a hugely extensive study. Now, unless there's some indication that something happened on that property in the past beyond agriculture, you're going to be very, very hard pressed. The town would be if someone comes in and wants to build 10 houses there, or 5 houses, or whatever they can fit. The planning board would be very hard pressed, or the Board of Health would be very hard pressed to request a test for that they don't ask for everybody else.
Art,
It's my understanding that a perk test over there is going to be really tough. Where they have a septic system right now is one, from what I'm told, is one of the few places you could get a septic system. So the property, you're not gonna get 10 houses in there. You might get one nice big house and then a bunch of paddocks and things for the horse. But from everything I've looked at and been told and talked to, they got a perk. Maybe we're the only place it'll perk. It's a tough piece of land for a perk.
It goes all the way to 58 though, doesn't it?
It does, but it gets
30 some odd
35
acres.
acres.
36 and a half. I
Technically,
believe.
that's 7 houses on 5 acre
Well,
lots.
no, it's, some of it's in conservation with conservation restrictions, like 11 acres or something, I think,
Yeah,
along the
that's-
river.
We're down to 25.
there was looking at clustering, it looked like there could be 3 or 4 houses in there, I think, being conservative. Can I just, forgive me, I just, a little parenthetical thing, my dry sense of humor got the better of me. I know Board of Health is very concerned about the health of these citizenry, and I don't necessarily always agree with the Board of Health or with Art. I know you guys are working hard to try to do your duty, and so when I said Art, or getting at the USDA or getting,
Yeah.
that was the dry sense of humor, and I apologize. At least you're chuckling.
Oh, no, that's, we're doing our job.
Yeah, you are.
And, I don't, as you probably saw from my letters, I don't care who it is. We're gonna enforce the law, and, that's the way it is. We'll see if we can get the governor, the attorney general, and.
Well, is there any way to get the trailers removed from the property?
Well,
From a public health standpoint?
We have ordered, we issued an order to secure and correct a year ago, September. And it is a lawful order that if it was a private citizen, we could enforce it. We ordered either the building be boarded up, plywood over the windows, not some screws, and the trailers either secured, or removed, because there's also evidence of illegal septic systems underneath the trailers. You got PVC pipe coming down out of those trailers and going into the ground. Now, we don't know what's under the ground there, but there's PVC pipe. People don't put that in for the heck of it.
Right.
And the trailers are wide open, the doors are gone, they're covered with mold, the floors are gone. So the best thing to do is to crush those and get them trucked out of there. And then either secure the house or raise it, one or the other. It's the ceilings in the kitchen area collapsing, the chimney is collapsing. You know, I don't know. You're not going to want to go in and rebuild something to the tune of $700,000 or $800,000 when it's only going to be worth $300,000 or $350,000 when you're done.
Oh, yeah, and I don't know if there would be historical implications on the property, would there be restrictions with that? But if the property were to sell, the USDA were to sell it privately, whoever purchases it would need to get those trailers out of there, right?
Yes, we took the step of recording our order to secure and correct on the deeds,
Okay,
at the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds. So there will be no question, whoever buys the property, they're gonna do a title search and these orders will come up.
okay.
So they can't get away with saying, oh, I didn't
I
know
didn't
about
know.
it.
Okay, all right, I
It's
just wanted.
there, it's recorded,
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll make a motion to authorize you to contact council just to discuss it, because I think that's the prudent thing to do, is we
Thank
just need to.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. I will keep it to a minimum. I merely want to see if there's any way to do any kind of conditional sale. Anyone that buys that property is going to be obligated to deal with the trailers, to deal with the house, to deal with the burnt out barn. The house is a quagmire, as Art describes, but there would be quite possibly a demolition delay.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be an easy thing, the whole thing is a mess.
This is going to take the patience of Job from someone. In the end, they'll have something
And
special.
some serious
but-
cashola too.
Yeah. Okay, onward. Thanks, Art. Thank you, everyone. I'll chat with Alana and get back to you all. Solar updates, including Blue Wave Mattapoisett. So we'll turn to my left first and then turn to my right.
Well, I have an update on the solar bylaw. We all received notification that the Attorney General's office adopted, or approved the bylaw as adopted at town meeting.
Great.
So
Well done.
that
Very
went
good
through.
news.
That's good. Other than that,
And on my end, the Mattapoisett sponsorship that we're doing, that's still in the works, and that will take some time. And I did forward the Blue Wave PPA for the Lake Street property to town council.
For the Lake Street
For
property?
the Lake Street, for the Lake Street solar field.
Or
No.
the Mattapoisett?
Mattapoisett is what we were waiting,
Yeah.
we were waiting a
Well,
contract
we're also waiting on, we're also in the process of a PPA, I'm sorry, the PPA for Mattapoisett forwarded to,
Okay.
Good.
council.
Right.
And, I don't have it with me, and, Blue Wave has sent this to, K&P has seen this same form 1,000 times, so he's assured me that it'll probably go fairly quick for them to do their red line on it,
Okay.
and so on and so forth. And as far as the sponsorship money goes, that's in the works. It hasn't, I don't know exactly when that shoes drop on that, but it was, I believe it's Sun Solar, Sun Country. Sun Country's an airline, but maybe, I don't know. But anyway, that's who's the company involved in the Mattapoisett project.
Okay. All right, so let's see, board goals and priorities, task worksheet, anything new?
All right, anything new happening with public safety building committee, Colleen?
Okay, at the last meeting, the committee voted to take the Center Street property off the table as a possible site. Voted to proceed with going forward with the police station at this site. There is a set of plans here, and anyone can come in and look at them. We have not yet voted either way on the fire station. The next meeting is a week from this Wednesday on the 18th, and we will have a member of FinCom there to discuss financing.
Excellent, you guys have been busy.
We're trying.
Very good. We don't have to do anything with Center Street, right? I mean, you guys voted to take it off the table. Okay, perfect. All right, Dale, how you coming with a fixed cost spreadsheet?
Relatively well. I mean,
Okay.
It'd be an advanced guess,
What do you think?
be there.
One more week?
Yeah, hopefully one more week.
All
I
right, so we'll
should
go
have it
11/16. Let's see, policy to adopt policies, done. So check that one off. We did the hiring policy. We've got progressive discipline and Corey left, so we'll do Corey next week. We've got the community compact for the DOR policies. I still don't have a estimate from the consultant for the costs. I'll have to follow up with them this week. Let's see, town email, you're working on that. Parsonage Road, we already discussed. We're gonna talk about town-owned land on 12/1.
Is that 12/1 or 11/30?
Oh, 11:30, you're right, it's 11:30, thank you.
And that's executive
Yep,
session,
yeah, that's
right?
gonna be an executive session,
Okay.
like 5:30.
Oh, boy.
All right, and then Colleen, you already talked about the Blue Wave PPA, so that's all of what we've got. And then Dale, you've got some items. Do you want to talk about yours?
Yeah, I've been rather lax. I've got to get a monthly meeting with department heads. Did you want to, on that, did you want to have, obviously it would be a good idea if a board member or 2 or 3, or whoever were there, just in a monthly department heads thing?
I'm glad to try to come.
All right.
Ditto,
As
depending on
long
when
as
it's
it-
scheduled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
depending when, I think.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, that would make, everybody's usually here. Job descriptions, I don't think I have them all, but there may be some that we're gonna have to create, but I'm putting a list together.
So, and we saw that file, didn't we, last week?
Yeah,
Uh,
we gave it to
Which
Bree,
is
and
gonna
she gave
get
it to
locked
Dale.
away with the rest of stuff?
Right, which will be with the HR,
Mhm.
right,
Yeah,
okay.
all right,
Thing too.
okay, all right. What else? Spring Street Carver, I'm still waiting I'm gonna talk to them, I'll give them a call again, but it just, not.
I looked back through the notes, and you contacted them on October 20th, so,
Yeah.
you know, like every 3 weeks or something. You don't want to nudge them too hard,
Try not
but,
to be a pest, but
Right.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely contact them again. The evaluation's done on the Center Street property. I don't have a official bill or a official report yet, but it was an excellent perk. We got the amended engineering study for Palmer Street, and I've inquired of them for possible costs for a definitive plan and what portion of that plan they would have to execute for site work to deal with just the police station at this point. And I should have an answer on that for pretty soon. We did get an estimate for heating the downspouts and the gutters, and that was, that's going off to Meyer for their grant, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. The estimate came in under what the grant amount is available, so.
Nice.
Yes.
Great.
So we'll probably be good there, although we may have to, it's gonna require 2 circuits be run, one on each side of the building to power it, and that may be at our expense, but it won't be, several $100s would probably cover that, it won't be a problem. And
I sent that to her.
I believe that's it. Green communities, I'm still going around with the state about that. It's done, they like it, but they're trying to enforce their we can't give you any money until you actually pay the invoices rule, which is a problem because there's no money appropriated to do that. We had this when we got the mid payment from them, and now it's coming up in the end, and it'll work out, fortunately. It's not a lot of money that we still owe still owe the people who did the work, but we'll get it, and they're aware of, that we're dealing with the state on that. And that's it on the end of my list.
Okay, and then you and Bree are gonna be listed, as our quarry people.
We're already,
You're already set? Perfect.
we're all done.
Set up.
Okay, and then Tara is, finishing up that list, so
Mhm.
that's done too, right? The A to
Yeah, I think
Zs?
it is done.
Perfect. All right, so those are done. We did last week talk about the FEMA grant, and I don't believe, unfortunately, this can be used for the new construction. I believe it's already gotta be in place.
Oh, all right.
Because there's a benefits cost analysis you have to do with this, and it talks about, you have to figure out what it is, and if we don't have the building, it's hard to estimate what the benefit cost is. But I don't know if, if there is another department that needs a generator, or if we could get enough money to get a generator for the Senate. I don't know.
Mhm. Does Highway have a generator?
That's a very good question. I think they may, yeah, I think they do actually.
Because it's not required to be a warming station. Any public safety building can apply, and it's a special grant just for generators.
Jimmy, I don't
Is it
know.
an annual grant, or is this a one-shot deal?
I think this is a one-shot deal, part of this large grant that they've gotten from the terrible weather
How
last year.
much is available for?
Well, the whole grant was, what was it, like, what did he tell us? It was a huge
I do not
number.
remember.
I don't remember either. But can I leave you
Yeah,
the job
and
aid?
Yeah, leave me that.
Yeah,
And I
and-
will check
yeah,
with, I will
see
check with
if
Jim. I mean, our
there's-
generator here seems to cover the nut
Okay.
pretty well for this building. But, I don't think the fire department, I think they operate off of us, actually. They may have their own as well.
Okay.
They may need one. And it's good for replacements of the
Yes.
existing generators
Yeah.
that are there?
I'll send you the email tomorrow too, with the link for this and the actual
Okay.
application.
All right, yeah, because it may be a good application for the fire department as it exists now, and then, assuming that building may remain, and that's where the committee is now, it may remain, it may get renovated, it may get moved, it may get taken down, but the generator doesn't go anywhere. Sooner or later, you're going to need a generator to be able to power that building.
It might be worth checking with the school committee. I don't remember exactly, but there is a generator over there. I think it wasn't big enough to do everything.
Dang it.
Maybe there was some problem that was more electrical in terms of whether it could power up to take care of heat.
Yeah, it doesn't power their HVAC system. It powers everything, and it powers lights, but it's not strong enough to power the heating system, which is why that can't be used as a
So
warming
could a
shelter.
second generator be installed to power the heating?
I think we'd have to ask an electrician then, to boost up the one that's there. They have a fairly substantial generator there, and it would obviously have to be considerably bigger. It's a large building to heat, and it's a very electrically intensive heating system.
So maybe it'd be worth mentioning to the school committee. Maybe you could
Absolutely.
just send them a note and just say that we are aware of this, and see
Yeah.
if there's any interest.
Right.
Out of curiosity, the one that we have for this building is how old, and
Old. It's old. It's perfectly good. In fact, we just got the service done. It was last week. They were in the annual service, and maintenance and so on. And he did say it's in fine shape. Fortunately, it's powered by natural gas, which doesn't mess up
yeah.
internal combustion engines too much. And when it does cover, we haven't had any problem with it covering this building.
Mhm.
But it is old. I'm not sure exactly how old.
Okay.
It is old.
Okay.
Okay?
So it might be a good opportunity
All right.
for us. Okay.
Probably. Town coordinator report, we've sort of
Kinda-
usurped everything.
Yeah,
into-
that's usually what
All right.
happens,
But
but anyway.
but at least to give you one more chance, and
No.
that brings us to correspondence.
Correspondence, okay.
Did we, just because I still have it in my list, did we do, we did the monitoring wells last week, right? We approved the
Mhm.
Yes.
monitoring well?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep, we did that
good.
last week.
And I don't know if this ended up in correspondence.
No,
but
it didn't.
It probably should.
Okay. The, Bree sent out the liquor license renewals via certified mail to the people that are currently holding these licenses with a return date of November 24th. And she's also notified the fire chief of the required inspection. So we're on track for those.
And she wondered whether there was anything else we needed to do, and
No, I
I
think
don't
you've
think
taken
so.
care of it,
You-
yeah.
you're-
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
All right, I got a response from Tom Coulter, oh, I didn't have it with me, about the transportation that we talked about last week, and he said it is a high priority to them, they're working on it, but that's really all that he had. Okay, so in correspondence, we've got a notice of filing and public hearing from the Department of Public Utilities. It's, has to do with Green Communities Act, requires Commonwealth's electric and gas distribution companies to develop energy efficient plans that provide for the acquisition of all available energy efficiency and demand reduction resources that are cost effective or less expensive than supply. All right, the department will conduct a public hearing on these plans November 30th, 2015, at 2 p.m. at the department offices in Boston, 1 South Station, 5th floor, Boston, Mass. Any person who desires to comment may do so at that time, and and place noted above or submit written comments to the department no later than the close of business, 5 p.m. on November 30th. So if you're not able to get there, you can provide written comments. All right, from the dog officer, this, it's a memo, subject, emergency response plan for poultry owners. All Plympton area poultry owners are strongly advised to contact aco.plympton.fbush@gmail for the emergency response plan for the avian influenza virus symptoms and for the steps to be taken for the prevention of the highly pathogenic avian influenza virus, HPAI. Poultry workers and owners may also contact the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources, Division of Animal Health directory for this information by calling 617-626-1795 or by accessing the MDAR poultry webpage online. And then he attached something from the Department of Agricultural Resources about,
Which is posted up front, I believe.
perfect,
Yep.
okay? So thank you, Frank, for being on top of that. We've got the Plympton Halifax Express. Really not much on Plympton. Sad news, the passing of Peg Fitzgerald. She was a wonderful woman and a true public servant and so involved in the community, and she will be sorely missed, no doubt about that. From Sean Cronin, we have our notification of free cash approval. Based upon the unaudited balance sheet submitted, I hereby certify that the amount of available funds or free cash as of July 1st, 2015 for the town of Plympton is $312,522. And let's see here, that's our Colony Planning Council, that's for me. Okay, also from Frank Bush, another memo, subject public safety information. The town of Plympton has rural areas of land upon which hunting is legally allowed. However, every one of these open tracts is surrounded by residential land that, for reasons of safety, is legally off limits for hunting. Plympton hunters that attempt to follow up wounded game that has escaped onto residential lands are forced to terminate their efforts to humanely dispatch their game animals. Residents who find any dead coyotes, foxes, raccoons on their property should contact the Animal Control Office for their removal. These animals can carry an active rabies virus for many hours after they are dead. All hunters should exercise extreme caution when dressing out this type of game, while at the same time keeping household pets completely away from the harvested animal's carcass or viscera.
Maybe we should post that.
Sure.
That one actually matters.
Yep.
Rabies is a bad thing.
Very bad. All right, from Plympton and Carver Triad, the annual holiday party, Wednesday, December 2nd, 2015, 12 o'clock noon at the Sportsman Club. So looks like you just need to RSVP if you'd like to attend.
And I unfortunately, I hope one of us can attend.
I can't
I
attend.
cannot do it.
I'll have to look into it.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
from Bill Hayes, to whom it may concern, I will be unavailable as tree warden from Saturday 11/7 through Sunday night 11/15. Barnes Tree out of Rochester, Mass. is available if there's emergent tree call that is more involved than what the highway department might normally work. Barnes Tree phone number is 508-763-2553 during the day and 508-763-3967 after hours. The contact name is Dave Florent. Regards, Bill Hayes. So I don't know if Jim, I would think Jim's got that. I would think that Bill communicated that to Jim. And then we just may want to have it, keep it out in case you get any phone calls where you could.
Post it?
Yeah,
Or do you
maybe we
want
could
it,
post it. You could put it
maybe
out.
Forward that to Jim.
Why don't you forward it to Jim just to make sure that he has seen it, and then you could post it as well, but,
He would be the one that makes the determination as to whether he can handle it or not.
okay, so, yeah, just go to Jim
Jim.
then. Perfect, yep, so just send
And
that to
then one
Jim.
other correspondence, is that empty? You
Mhm.
did it.
Mhm.
I think we have to RSVP by tomorrow for the Dennett School feast on November 18th.
We do, I can't go and I already RSVP'd,
Okay.
unfortunately.
And I will go. It's cute.
Oh, it's
I'm
so
sorry,
special, it
yeah.
is,
It's
it's,
a
it's,
great time.
it is a great time.
Great tape.
The kids
I
are-
haven't, I got mine, I haven't. Did you want me to RSVP for you as
Yeah,
well
sure.
tomorrow when I
Yeah.
call them?
Would you please?
That's the 18th.
I believe so, yeah.
18th at 11, I think.
11:45.
Yeah, but they ask us to be there at
11:30,
11:15.
don't you, or 11:15?
11:15, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, I don't.
Okay, I will
All right, so you'll
RSVP.
definitely do that, Dale?
Yep, I was
Beautiful.
gonna do my own, I'll do it.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it for correspondence.
Nice work, all right. Dates to remember, the next Selectmen's meeting, November 9th, oh, that's today. Darn. No, we're back where we
Check.
started.
Remember that one?
That's how we started.
We are so efficient.
Did you get?
November
You got invitation too, right?
16th, we will not meet the 23rd, and then November 30th with an executive session at 5:30. We know that the Public Safety Building Committee will be meeting not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, that's the 18th. Do you know the next meeting after that, by chance? Is it 2 weeks later?
I believe it's December 2nd.
Okay. And it'll be just my luck, it is the 2nd. Darn.
I don't have it in here yet, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
All right, well, I'll be away, but I will come back, because that'll be important. All right, and minutes, I think we don't have, we had a computer glitch, surprise, surprise today, right? Okay, so next week we'll have 3 sets of minutes to deal with. You did?
I never got them either.
No, not as of like 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And here they are.
So, if those are done, the first 2, okay, I don't think for any of us they came
No,
through.
they didn't come through.
So get them to us so we have a chance to read them this week before, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Are those multiple copies, or that's just one
I
copy?
just got my own,
Okay.
but they're done.
Um, After we finish this, I do have something else.
Okay.
I sent 10:26 and 11:02.
Son of a gun, no.
And I did them to your.
Okay.
What time?
10:26 was this
Seriously?
morning,
Oh
Oh,
my goodness.
and then 11:02 was at 3:30.
no.
No,
No,
another computer glitch.
I don't know.
Problems with attaching.
All right, we do have minutes of the Public Safety Building Committee from 10:07, 10:28, and 11:04. I make a motion they be approved as presented.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.
And I'll abstain.
And one abstention.
Okay, and
So-
I will get those to Tara.
Okay. So this list is pretty much complete, but you have
Okay,
something.
I just wanted to mention that the library had their first Saturday coffee hour
Committee minutes.
this past
Okay.
Saturday, and they honored veterans,
Ah.
sort of a pre-Veterans Day celebration. The Boy Scouts did a flag ceremony, the Girl Scouts recited a poem. One individual Boy Scout had prepared a slideshow that showed played the hymns of each of the branches, the 4 branches,
Oh.
and showed pictures of people through time in those branches. And it was a really nice time, and there were several veterans there, and just wanted to mention it.
Very
Our
nice.
library does a wonderful job of keeping the community together as a community. So, that's all. Good thing.
Excellent. Oh, can I say one thing about the parks?
Yeah, please.
2 weeks ago, John Williamson took me on a tour of the parks, and I was absolutely blown away. It far exceeded my expectation. Hats off to everyone that was involved. It obviously was a labor of love. It's just an amazing place, and anyone who hasn't checked it out, I would highly recommend going and walking through. I mean, it's beautiful. There's so many different, it's like, microchasms where there's bog area, and then there's dense woods, and then there's kind of meadows and fields, and it's just lovely with benches around for you to sit and look at the beautiful scene, and it's amazing. Great job.
Wildlands Trust, who were one of the many partners in this, was here out at Churchill Park last week in preparation for the conservation restriction that we're obligated to put on. They see a lot of these projects, and they were pretty excited. They were pretty excited for us and what we accomplished.
And probably everybody knows this, but hunting is allowed on Cato's Ridge, but there's no hunting allowed on Sundays. So it's a good family outing place.
Yeah, Sunday's a good place. I told him, I said, I imagine people coming here and spending the day and having a picnic and just exploring. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Which brings us back to where we started, and I think it's what can happen with communication and cooperation and collaboration, and hopefully we can find a lot more projects to do that. We'll end, we all get a chance to be of service and to feel purposeful. Wednesday is Veterans Day, and we salute those that did very special kind of service and very special kind of purposefulness. So thank you, everyone. We will be back next week, and we will have more fun. Good evening,
Good night.
everyone.
Motion to adjourn?
That little thing.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.